Christopher Nolan is a legendary director, and a significant part of his legacy is Inception. Welcome to Quick Recaps, and today we're going to do a short rundown of what happened in this Nolan masterpiece. So before we begin, let me give you a spoiler alert. With that out of the way, let's begin. The film begins with a short young man who washes up on a beach. He is fatigued and dizzy, and when he looks up, he sees two little children playing in the sand. An armed guard discovers him, and the man is taken to a vast coastal palace, where the proprietor, an elderly Japanese man, is informed of his presence. Only a pistol and a brass top were discovered on him. The elderly gentleman lets the visitor in. "You remind me of someone. A man I met in a half-remembered dream," the elderly man says as he drags him in and gives him some food which he tries to eat. The stranger looks up in realization and the scene shifts. In an eerily similar dining room, Dom Cobb, Leonardo DiCaprio, and his partner, Arthur, Joseph Gordon-Levitt, speak with a potential client, Saito, Ken Watanabe, about the services they provide. Special protection against thieves who specialize in extracting valuable information from a subject while they're dreaming. Cobb says that one's mind is vulnerable to assault when sleeping, and that what he can do is educate Saito's mind to unconsciously defend against extractors in order to safeguard whatever secrets he may be concealing. He backs up his claim by stating that he's the best extractor in the business, and is well versed in all of the methods. Saito, who appears suspicious, stands to go, assuring Cobb that he will think about his proposal, and walks out of the room to join a small party in the main hall. As the room begins to tremble, Arthur throws a glance at Cobb and says he knows. Arthur gestures to a woman nearby and asks Cobb what she's doing here as they move on to an outside balcony where other partygoers congregate. Cobb promises to him that he'll take care of it and that the task will be completed. He knows where Saito's secrets are hidden. The moment Cobb said the phrase, he glanced over to a safe. The movie then shifts to a scene where Cobb approaches a woman who inquires about her feelings of her. He says that he does, but he no longer trusts her. Cobb attaches a rope to the leg of a chair and throws the end out the window as they withdraw to a private area. He motions for Mal, Marion Cotillard, to have a seat while she inquires about the children. "I can't fathom," Cobb says after a bit of a pause. He then leaps out the window to a ledge below, just avoiding falling when Mal gets out of her seat. As the lights in the room switch on, he breaks into the room below and opens the safe, replacing the manila folder inside with another. With his revolver drawn, he turns to find Mal pointing a gun at him, beside Saito and a guard restraining Arthur. Cobb pushes his revolver over the table and asks Saito if she told him. "Do you think you're here to steal from me, or do you think we're both asleep?" Saito asks. This is true. The three of them are connected to a PASIV, Portable Automated Somnocin Intravenous Device, which administers the sleep medicine Somnocin and allows them to share their dreams. Nash, Lucas Haas, another of Cobb's associates, keeps an eye on them. He checks on Saito, who is sleeping in the bed, before moving on to Arthur and Cobb, who are both sleeping in chairs. Cobb's chair is perched above a bathtub filled with water. Outside, explosions and yells become louder as a rioting throng advance along the street. Mal holds her pistol to Arthur's head within the dream, but Cobb informs her that the threat is bogus and passes the manila folder to Saito, explaining that shooting him will simply wake him up. As he shoots Arthur in the knee, causing him to cry out, Mal grins and adds that pain is just in his mind and felt as real. Cobb jumps across the table, grabs his gun, and then shoots Arthur in the head. He then sprints out of the room, dodging Saito's guard's gunshots. Arthur wakes up and informs Nash that things are starting to fall apart, but Cobb still has time to finish the job before checking on Saito, who is still asleep. As the dream begins to crumble, Saito hastily opens the manila folder and screams angrily when he discovers blank pages inside. Cobb is able to slip away for a minute to examine the contents of the actual folder he'd stashed in his jacket, peering over the private files as the building falls apart around him. As Arthur searches beneath his pillow, Saito is crushed by rubble and awakens in the flat, undetected by Arthur. Arthur urges Nash to give Cobb the kick to wake him up. Cobb's dream is flooded with large waves cascading through the windows as Nash pulls him back into the tub. Before he wakes up, Cobb's dream is inundated with massive waves cascading through the windows as he hits the water. Saito grabs Arthur after reaching beneath his pillow for his revolver, but is overpowered by Cobb, who informs him that the file he took did not include all of the information he required. Saito chuckles and asserts that all of his knowledge was in the file all along, since he was well aware of Cobb's deception. Cobb and Arthur were permitted inside of his head as part of an audition that they had failed, and he told them that their deceit was apparent. Cobb tosses Saito to the ground and insists that he give them all they need to know about his expansion project, claiming that his company, Cobalt Engineering, will not accept failure. Saito laughs again, his face buried into the carpet, and discloses that he is familiar with the carpet's substance, which is meant to be made of wool rather than polyester. As a result, he determines that he is still asleep. Indeed, Saito, Arthur, Nash, and Cobb are still sleeping in a railway car, being watched over by a young guy named Tadashi, played by Ty Lee, who keeps track of the remaining time on the PASIV gadget. As a warning that their time is running out, he slips headphones over Nash's ears and plays music. Within the dream, music plays softly yet loudly enough for Nash to hear it. As the raging throng outside approaches, Saito compliments Cobb on his ability to create a dream inside a dream, but is perplexed by his inability to control it. They're not in Saito's dream, but in Nash's, he confesses. Arthur, Nash, and Cobb wake up on the train after the crowd crashes through the door and attacks everyone in the room. Following that, in Kyoto, Saito asks Cobb whether he can conduct inception. Cobb is told by Saito that if he can plant an idea in the head of his business adversary, Robert Fisher, that he will be reunited with his children in America. Cobb agrees to the concept despite Arthur's objections, and flies to Paris in search of a dream architect. Cobb's father-in-law, Stephen Miles, introduces him to Ariadne, a PhD student who specializes in labyrinth creation. Cobb explains the fundamentals of dream-sharing technologies to Ariadne, including the use of a totem, an object that alerts a person that they are not dreaming, and a kick, a physical jolt that brings a dreamer out of a dream. Cobb's first rule is to never utilize memories to construct dreams, but the memory of his dead ex-wife, Mal, intrudes brutally into a shared dream with Ariadne. Cobb then flies to Mombasa to enlist the help of Eames, a British foreigner, and Yusuf, a Kenyan scientist. The team meets with Saito in Paris to discuss the strategy. The incepted notion, according to Eames, must be basic, appear self-generated, and be planted over 3 levels of Robert's dream. When Ariadne infiltrates Cobb's dreams one night and discovers that he still suffers remorse over his dead wife, Mal, whose memory continues exploding into his nightmares, she gets concerned. Cobb is warned by Ariadne that he cannot keep Mal imprisoned in his subconscious indefinitely. After the death of Robert Fisher's father, the team decides to carry out their plan on a trans-Pacific flight from Sydney to Los Angeles, with Robert Fisher as a passenger. Cobb slips his sedative into Robert's drink on the aircraft, and then the team falls into a shared dream with him. They succeed in kidnapping Robert but are attacked by a group of rifle-wielding intruders soon after. Cobb finds too late that specialists have helped Robert materialize his subconscious against unwelcome extraction, and Saito was seriously hurt. Worse, use of strong sedative may leave whoever is slain in the dream into limbo, or unconstructed dream space. Despite being disturbed, the crew resolves to stick to the strategy. Cobb collects combination lock numbers from Robert, who talks to his uncle Peter about his icy relationship with his father. When they hear Yusuf, whose van has crashed off a bridge, offer the kick, Edith Piaf's Non je ne regrette rien, the squad rushes to finish the inception mission. Ariadne tells the rest of the squad the fastest method to penetrate the stronghold, knowing they only have a limited amount of time. In the dream's second layer, Arthur scrambles to come up with a good kick in the hotel, where Cobb and the others are sleeping, which has turned into a zero-gravity environment due to the falling vehicle in the first layer. Robert catches the fortress's strong chamber in the third layer but is shot dead by Mal, who emerges out of nowhere. Cobb believes the operation is complete, but Ariadne persuades him to dig deeper in order to save Robert and redeem the mission. As Eames puts explosive charges around the fortress as the third layer's kick, Saito dies. Cobb and Ariadne descend into the dream's fourth layer, a decaying cityscape constructed by Cobb and Mal together over 50 years in limbo. Cobb admits to Ariadne that he induced the belief in limbo in Mal so that he would agree to wake up and be with their children. However, Mal refused to accept reality was a dream and finally committed suicide, leaving Cobb with remorse. Ariadne and Cobb come across Mal and Robert in a neighboring structure, which Ariadne wakes up so that he may penetrate the fortress's strong room. Robert enters a code in the strong room that displays a vast operating room with his dying father within, and Cobb informs Mal that she isn't real. Robert's father advises him to live his own life, thereby completing the inception. Cobb advises Ariadne to ride the kicks up through the levels of the dream world while he saves Saito as the dream world collapses. Cobb, like in the film's opening scene, washes up on a beach and is carried into Saito's house. Cobb identifies Saito as a guy from a half-remembered dream, and the two of them awaken on the passenger airplane alongside Ariadne, Robert, Eames, and Saito, all of whom have successfully returned to reality. Cobb is concerned as he walks through customs in Los Angeles, where security checks his passport but lets him pass, indicating that he is returning home. Cobb moves by the rest of the crew, including Robert, who pauses for a brief time, as if reminiscing over a dream. Cobb notices Miles mentioning to him to come over ahead of him. Cobb hesitates before pulling out his brass top as they drive back home together. When he enters his home, he takes out his brass top and spins it on the kitchen table. While the top is spinning, he sees his children entering from the back door. He rushes over to them and the camera cuts to a shot of the top, which has started to wobble but doesn't stop spinning. The screen then cuts to black. But wait, when friends discover a time-telling camera, will they use this chance to enrich their lives, or will this new miracle turn to doom? Check that by clicking this video right here. I hope you enjoyed this video. Don't forget to subscribe to our channel and do hit the bell icon on your way. See you all next time.